David was raised by his mother and grandmother in a small town. His grandmother instilled a strong belief in God in him from a young age. However, family instability and exposure to a criminal lifestyle through his father led him down a path of delinquency and gang involvement. David's descent into a life of crime began with petty theft and escalated to armed robbery. He served multiple prison sentences, each time returning to his old habits upon release. During one such stint, a new law increased the amount of time he was required to serve, resulting in a 50-year sentence for aggravated robbery. At the age of 21, David entered a maximum security prison where violence was rampant. To survive, he adopted the persona of a hardened criminal engaging in gang activity, drug dealing, and weapon manufacturing. He spent 15 years immersed in this brutal environment. Around 2005, a sense of weariness began to creep into David's heart. He started to question the direction of his life. A fellow inmate, a Christian named Mark, befriended him and gently nudged him toward faith. Initially resistant, David gradually opened himself to Mark's guidance, reading the Bible and attending chapel services. David was particularly struck by a verse in Proverbs that spoke of a path that seemed right, but ultimately led to death. He recognized himself in the description of the fool and realized the destructive nature of his choices. Two other inmates, both former gang leaders who had converted to Christianity, further inspired David's transformation. Their genuine faith and changed lives convinced him that real change was possible. In 2008, during a class for new converts, David experienced a profound spiritual awakening. He surrendered his life to Christ, openly professing his faith and renouncing his gang affiliation. This decision led to some conflict with former associates, but David remained resolute in his newfound faith. God's presence became increasingly tangible in David's life. On one occasion, he miraculously failed to uncover contraband that would have resulted in additional charges. This experience emboldened David to completely abandon his criminal activities. David requested a transfer to the prison's faith-based unit, where he spent 18 months immersed in Bible study and spiritual growth. He was baptized, given leadership roles in the chapel, and began counseling other inmates. During this time, David also connected with a woman named Sarah Thram. They began corresponding, and a deep bond formed between them. Through prayer and a series of events that David interpreted as divine guidance, he felt led to pursue a relationship with Sarah. They married in 2020, shortly after David's release from prison. David's reintegration into society presented its own set of challenges. He had to adjust to a world transformed by technology and learn basic life skills that he had never acquired. He also faced the stigma of his criminal record, which limited his employment options. Despite these obstacles, steadfast in his faith, he found a supportive church community, secured employment, and began actively pursuing ministry opportunities. He is now dedicated to sharing his testimony and helping others find redemption through Christ. David's story isn't just, it's about discovering hope in the midst of hopelessness. It's about the power of forgiveness, both for ourselves and for others. It's about the incredible truth that no matter how far we've strayed, no matter how broken we feel, God's grace is always enough to redeem us. Have you ever felt trapped by your own choices, by your circumstances? David's story reminds us that with God, a new beginning is always possible. Share in the comments what touched you most about David's journey. And if you're searching for hope, for change, for a new start, know that you're not alone. There's a God who loves you and wants to set you free.